What's happening, everybody? This is Bill, the Fox Body Phantom, and we are heading over to the Norfolk Aggie today on a rainy, drizzly, but warm November morning for their Veterans Day show. I just want to say thank you in advance to all of you who have served, all those veterans out there, and I'm going to ask a big favor today. For those that don't know, I also at work support our military employee resource group. I worked with veterans all the time. And one of the things that my friend Tim helped make me really smart on was to understand how we support veterans differently. We have a lot of somber days, right? We have things like Memorial Day and we do our suicide prevention talks, but Veterans Day is a day for all of us that have served to celebrate and to celebrate each other. So I'm gonna get out here in just a few minutes. We're driving in the Fox right now. I'm gonna get out of the show, shoot all the cool cars that show up today. It's gonna be a little challenging. It's rainy, it's overcast, but it is warm, so I hope to see some really cool stuff, and we'll come back at the end and we'll share our favorites. Take you back to straight 1979. We have a Malibu and we have a Fairmount. Both 1979, both big motors, both built by the owners. So how cool is this? So if this is like 1982 and you're drag racing and you're on the strip, this might be what you've seen. We have this beautiful 79, over 400 cubic inches, built in the driveway by a veteran, so thank you for your service. First of all, 6-speed transmission, Monte Carlo dash, Camaro wheels, 450 plus horsepower, super cool. The car came out of his uncle's garage. He rebuilt it himself. Literally, this motor went in like 2 weeks ago. The car right next to it, we've shot this at a show before. This is like a 408 Windsor, putting out 515 horsepower to the rear wheels. I love the wheels on the car. I love the body style. So it's super interesting when you look at both of these kind of intermediate body styles. They're both super nice, but it's cool to see both of these from 79 and get that total nostalgia vibe. Both of these guys are great to talk to. Like I said, they both did the builds themselves, which I love when you're able to do that. This was his first build of a car. It's the first one he built himself. He does a bunch of builds. He actually has a paint shop that he does work on. So again, love both of these cars. Very cool to share. Now these guys all came up together. They all traveled together. We've shot that Celine before. We have this very cool Chevy truck. You know what I like about this? It's a long bed. It has like kind of the cool like NASCAR style vibe with those wheels. We shot this Celine before in Burlington. This one just is about to hit 100,000 miles. And then we also have another garage build down the end in this really cool 4-ride Fox body with the turbo. So thank you guys for bringing your stuff out. It's super cool. We love seeing it. So thank you for sharing it with us. Cool 1960 Corvette. I was just talking with the owners and they had the 59 plate on. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's a 60 from that rear end. But a couple of things I like on this car. Obviously, I love the color combination and that blue with the white cove. I'm such a big fan of the C1s. And as the C1s evolved and the rear ends changed a little bit, like this is the last year of this style rear end. Then they would get into the more C2 style rear end, which are very cool. I really do like the Cragar SSs on the Corvette. Like you don't see them a lot on the Vets. I think the Corvette guys tend to stay more towards the traditional wheels, but I think the Cragar SSs look great on the car. This car has some really neat like pinstriping on the back of it too. So this is just kind of a neat C1. And I think these cars were always cool. The challenge on these cars, when I always talk to the Corvette guys, like you either fit in these cars or you don't. I've said it before, like there's not a lot of adjustments. You're not moving that seat back. That steering wheel kind of is where it is. But again, it's just such a cool version of this car. And we know with the C1s, you know, they almost died after 54, right? The Chevy wasn't selling a lot. 55, they put the small V8 in, everything changed. And now, you know, all these years later, we have 1,000 horsepower ZR1, but this is where it all started. And I like this color combination. All right, so I said I wasn't gonna keep talking about Hersolds because I see them at the shows and I talk about them all the time, but so many people are so graceful and let me kind of go and share some stuff. So I do want to talk about what makes this car special, and thank you for letting me kind of get inside here. It is that lightning rod shifter. So this was kind of a factory drag style shifter. Now you have to understand, when this car came out, in 68, Hearst and Oldsmobile had this really cool partnership, and you would have Miss Olds and they would make Hersolds in these white and gold that were super cool. And then in 83, they said, hey, 15th anniversary, let's do something cool together and let's create a version of the Cutlass, which was the best-selling car in America, but let's make it special. Let's put a high output 307. Let's put some really cool wheels, but let's put this lightning rod shifter in here. And this is the party piece of this car. It's just so cool, and I'm so happy that Oldsmobile and Hearst did this together, because again, it's what makes this car special. You know, a regular Cutlass of this vintage or a 442 would legitimately go for like $10,000, $12,000. Same motor, same setup. If you go to the Hearst Olds, because of this shifter and the uniqueness, now this is an 84 with the silver on the top and the black on the bottom. 83 would have been reversed with the 15th anniversary Hearst badge, but that lightning rod shifter makes this car so desirable, and I think it's so cool. So again, I said I'd stop talking about him, but he let me kind of come into the car, so thank you for letting me share it. Just such a cool footnote of history for these cars to mini. So what we have here is a 99 Mercedes SL 500. This is a newly minted antique, right? So it's been an antique for about a year, because the antiques are 25 years old. This car, to me, is one of the best performance and style values in the world. These cars don't go for a ton of money anymore. These cars are huge money new, big performance, AMG wheels. The cars look incredible. I think it's one of the best looking cars of this generation. You know, they've got a V8 motor in it. They've got great performance. The challenge is these cars are fairly expensive to maintain, so people get a little bit hesitant to buy one of these Mercedes. But again, if you're looking for value and performance and style, it's so hard to beat these cars. They just look great. Now, I've always thought, you know, a couple of things on these. I was a big fan of like the movie Digstown, which kind of talked about like the SL 500 and the 300 and the different models on there. But like stylistically, Mercedes just did such a nice job with this car. I think these wheels look iconic, and the front end looks great on the car. And like I said, great performance. So if you're not afraid to do a little wrenching, if you have the ability or a good mechanic, for value, like I said, you cannot beat these cars, and they are an antique now. So if you're looking for something that's a little older that may spark that nostalgia bug, this is a great deal. All right, guys, let's do a quick run through of a couple of the other hot rods and stuff that are here. This super cool pickup truck in the blue and black. I heard it come in. It sounded absolutely amazing. We have this gorgeous hot rod. You know, what's always fun on these hot rods is I think when you think about a hot rod, this is what you think of, right? A 1930s louvered hood, the chrome wheels, the color's very cool on it. Now we have a 36 next to it that's way more original with the flathead V8. This would have been a hot rod in its time without, you know, actually modifying. So you see, if you kept it original, this is what happens when you hot rod the car, but that's like the original version. So it's kind of cool to see both together of what the original version of the car is versus the hot rodded version. But again, this for its day was a hot rod. A flathead V8 was completely different than a lot of stuff that was out there. This is what like the gangsters and the government would use. So this is pretty neat to see as well. Guys, our next cool car we're gonna show up here is Rick and Ellen's 1965 Corvette. I have not intentionally been on a red C2 kick lately, but I've seen a ton of them. And this one is super nice. So they've had the car for like 25, 26 years. It was painted 21 years ago. It does have knockoff style wheels, but for safety, these are actually the knockoff style where the center cap comes off. They have lugs. It is a 327 car, manual, side pipes in the red. What I liked about this one when I saw it was how original it looked under the hood. A lot of times you've seen these and they look pretty rough. Like even the headers are really sharp on this. Everything looks very original to 65. This is one of the cleanest 65 C2s I've seen in a long time. And again, you can't go wrong with a side pipe car in red with the black interior, with the manual transmission. Like if you said, how would I spec out the C2 Corvette I would want? This is one of the ones that would be up there. The only one maybe above this, the two up above this for me would be a 63 split window or a 67 427 car. But this is a beautiful version of a C2, and thank you for sharing it with us. Right next to it, we have a very cool 2016 GT350 in yellow. We're going to talk about the Boss 302 in a second because that's going to be my phantom favorite car of the day. But these cars are so underrated. That flat plane crank V8, over 500 horsepower, cars that rev up to like 8,000 RPM. They sound like a Ferrari. They look great. And what's kind of cool is, you know, 7 or 8 years ago, these were everywhere. Like you saw them at every show. And I think people are starting to understand the value of these and the rarity. So you're starting to see them a little bit less than I saw them even a couple years ago. I'm seeing more of the GT500s and less of the GT350s. This is more of a driver car than the 500. The 500 is more of a straight line drag car. Absolute monster. But the GT350 is, I think, one of the best balances of performance that Ford has ever done. Great handling, great braking, great acceleration, but also you know, designed to be a track weapon. It's a very cool car. I like it in yellow, so thank you for sharing it. All right, guys, we're going to talk about our Phantom favorite of the day. And you guys know I'm a Mustang guy, love the Boss 302s. We have a very cool Boss 302 here. Also a veteran, a Submariner, which again, those guys are a different breed, so thank you for your service. But this beautiful, bright yellow 1970 Boss 302. Now, we've talked about these cars quite a bit over the years. These were the Trans Am cars back then. They would run against the Z28 Camaros. They had cap displacement at 5 liters, so these were all 302s, 5-liter motors, but they were high compression. They were high revving. These cars were designed for the racetrack. They had to sell a certain amount to qualify to actually go race. Now, in '69, this car would have had 4 headlights, and you would not have had the Boss stripe that goes onto the hood. In '70, they added that stripe on the hood. They went to the 2 headlight design. I think it's a great looking car. The Magnum 500 wheels, the rear window louvers, the rear spoiler, all in the flat black. Every single one of these cars is a manual. You could not buy an automatic Boss 302. And this is just a gorgeous version in the bright yellow. So absolutely stunning. This is my Phantom favorite car of the day. All right, guys, let's shoot something very cool and very different. 1974 Mercury Capri. Actually, this was a car made for Mercury in Germany, then imported back to the U.S. And they were sold in Lincoln Mercury dealerships. 2.8 V6, 4-speed manual. Car weighs about 3,000 pounds, so it's bigger than it looks from the outside. My first thought when I saw this car is a similar body size to like a Maverick, and as I look at it, it looks a little larger, right? It's a very cool car. The wheels look great, but like I said, this was a German import car sold back into the U.S. They sold 74,000 in 74, but most of them were sold over in Europe, as this was a European spec car. 185 horsepower, 4-speed manual. So for a small car, this car was actually really pretty spirited driving. It was pretty fun. 0 to 60 in about 9 seconds. But again, the car looked great. And talking to the owner, he found this one up in Canada in 2017. He had been looking for one for a long time and had never seen one. So very cool. And this is my first time ever seeing one in person. So very neat car. Thank you for bringing it and sharing with us. Now, I'm going to go through and shoot a couple of the other cars. We've shot this Chevy pickup at a couple of shows this year. We've shot the Firebird and the Camaro, a couple of friends of ours. Some very cool stuff up here. We shot that Z06 too. It's a very rare color in that black rose. So some very cool stuff up here. We did see a very cool VW van. So again, a small show, guys. Unfortunately for the folks here putting the show on, it was for veterans, but we kind of got rained out, so we didn't get a ton of people. So with that being said, guys, I know this is a shorter video. I'm hoping to get 1 or 2 more videos this year before, we end. There is still some stuff coming up the next couple of weekends, some Toys for Tot drives, a couple of other shows. So I'm not putting the Mustang away this year. It's going to stay in my garage. It's not going away in storage. So if there are shows and the roads aren't salted and there's no snow out there, I will try to get to as much as I can. I appreciate all the cool people I got a chance to talk to today. This was a great little venue. We had some really some fun talking to everybody. So if you haven't done it so far, please hit that like and subscribe, and I hope to see you at the next show.